week's Daily Dose Learning has been sponsored by Merdad Ebrani, Leilui Nishmat, Rafael Ben Levi, Ruach Hashem Tenechenu Began Eden. This week's parasha is Parashat Devarim. We are starting a new book of the Chumash. Chumash has 5 books: Bereshit, Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim. What's the main contents in 2 lines? What are the main contents of each sefer? What does each book try to accomplish? Bereshit tells us about the creation of the world and our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, their children, how the foundation of Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, was formed. Shemot, Exodus. Shemot deals with Yetziat Mitzrayim, the story of the Jews in Egypt, becoming the birth of our nation, the birth of Am Yisrael, our experience in Egypt, Hashem taking us out of Egypt, our Matan Torah, accepting of the Torah, and the Mishkan, the house, the home that we built for God, and how that was built. That's the book of Shemot. Vayikra deals with all the laws of the Mishkan, the laws of the Beit HaMikdash, the Korbanot, what goes into it, Tum'at, purity, impurity, all of that goes into Sefer Vayikra. Bimidbar, overall, in general. Bimidbar, which we just finished, is the Jewish people in the desert, what happened throughout the desert, and a lot of it about the things that went wrong in the desert. Why we couldn't accomplish Plan A. Plan A was we receive the Torah, we build a Mishkan, next step is into Israel, straight into Israel. Why didn't we go directly into Israel? What went wrong along the way, and why did we have to resort to Plan Bs until we were able to get into Israel? That's Bimidbar. Now, at the end of Bimidbar, Moshe finished the war with Midian. The Jewish people are all on the banks of the Jordan River, right next to the Jordan River. We're ready to go in. What do we have one more entire book for? So what's the conclusion? Where does the conclusion come in? And what takes an entire sefer?
It has a nickname of Mishnah Torah, right? It's like a review, and it's Moshe Rabbeinu reminding everyone once more.
Exactly. So it's Ele HaDevarim Asher Diber Moshe El Kol Yisrael Be'ever HaYarden. These are the words. It's more than a summary. I'm going to get to that in a second. But these are the words which Moshe said to the Jewish people before they went into Israel. Here are the final words, the last speech. It's really actually a few speeches, about 3 or 4 speeches. The final speeches, the final words that Moshe had for the Jewish people to give them. And the rest of the Torah, the 4 books, they were written. The entire thing was written by Hashem, and the entire thing Hashem instructed to be written. But there's a great change in tone when it comes to the book of Devarim. In the first 4 books, they're written in the 3rd person. Hashem gave the laws to Moshe saying, these are the laws for the Jewish people. It's speaking about, it's telling a story, or it's giving laws, but it's speaking about them from a 3rd person perspective. Sefer Devarim, the vast majority of the book, 95% plus maybe of the book, maybe even more, is Moshe speaking directly. It's written in the 1st person, in the singular person. And I said to you, and I said this, and I am telling you, this is what you have to do. Moshe is saying it. They were Moshe's personal words, his last monologue towards the Jewish people. And what is embedded in all of this in Sefer Devarim, and it really, in some ways, it connects to you whenever you read through it, much more. When it comes to the 4 books, the first 4 books, you study everything, and they're inspirational, and they're passionate, incredible words. But very often, you always need a perush on the entire Torah. But here, because it's speaking to you in the 1st person, Moshe he's directly speaking to you. It's much more intimate when you read it. The very words themselves are much more intimate as you read it. The book is called Mishneh Torah. Some people call it Mishneh Torah. Mishneh Torah means the copy of the Torah, the second Torah, the repetition of the Torah. Why is it called the repetition of the Torah? It does in fact repeat the Torah, but also doesn't repeat the Torah. There are also many new laws which Moshe gives, which we did not have. Maybe 70 or more new mitzvot, which we didn't have in any of the previous 4 books. But what it does overall in the book, the reason why it's Mishneh Torah is it's coming from Moshe's perspective. He reviews a lot of the history, especially in the beginning. He reviews a lot of the history and what went on from the Torah from his perspective. Right? He's speaking now. Who is Moshe speaking to? Which Bnei Israel? The new generation, the younger generation. It is not those in this generation that remembered Yetziat Mitzrayim. They were young kids and teenagers. They were very young when they left Egypt. Moshe, in his final words as Moshe Rabbeinu, is telling them, he's retelling, first of all, a lot of the history from his perspective in order to give them lessons, in order to teach them lessons. He gives them new laws, he gives them new halachot, and he gives a lot of instructions. New instructions for, you're going to go into the land of Israel, this is how it's going to be, you have to be prepared for this, don't let this happen, make sure that gives them direct instructions for the land of Israel.
They're within some type of reasonable proximity to Eretz Yisrael.
Yes. They're across the Jordan River.
Meaning this whole Devarim, meaning Moshe Rabbeinu knows that his time is coming.
Moshe knows his time is coming.
But how far are we talking about? Meaning from the time that
it's about 5 weeks actually. His speech takes about 5 weeks. He's speaking to Am Yisrael, and they're listening to him. And considering Moshe Rabbeinu, and at the end, towards the end, he started having some of the more important pieces. He asked them in Parashat Nitzavim, he asked them to re-accept the entire Torah, because Hashem at Har Sinai, whenever he gave the 10 Commandments, Aseret HaDiberot, he gave the base of the Torah, he gave the main principles of the Torah. They didn't have the entire Torah written, right? Because I'm saying, you think about it, B'midbar or Devarim, they didn't have it already at the time of Har Sinai. It didn't happen yet, right? So there had to be some process throughout the desert that Hashem was giving Moshe instructions to continually adjust it, to add to the Torah, write this story the way it happened, Hashem instructed, and Ela Devarim, all of it gets finalized at the end of Devarim. And Am Yisrael has to accept the Torah in its final version. This time with no smoke coming out from the mountain and no thunder and lightning and God coming down directly. They already accepted it in that way. But now, in the quiet of the end of Moshe's life, are we accepting this entire Torah the way it is? And what makes this entire Torah the way it is that it was finalized through the Nevuah, through the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, before Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. It's a book of Devarim.
So Devarim is given by Hashem?
So they were Moshe's personal words, and Hashem instructed Moshe, I want you to include this in the Torah. This is supposed to be part of the Torah, but most of it were Moshe's personal words. They were Moshe's individual words.
The actual teachings and instructions, everything is from Hashem. It's
Moshe's, of course. The instruction that it should be part of the Torah is given by Hashem. This should be part of the Torah. But these are mostly Moshe's personal words in Sefer Devarim. And the amazing part of Devarim is knowing Moshe Rabbeinu and knowing his career. To me, this is the most incredible point of Devarim. At the very beginning, when Hashem said to Moshe in Shemot, Moshe, you are my guy.
I'm not a man of words.
What did Moshe? Moshe said, I'm not a man, I can't speak. Lo ish devarim anochi. It's a challenge for me to speak. I'm not a good speaker, I'm not a good orator. I can't do it. Moshe said to Hashem. And then by the end of his life, you get to Sefer Devarim, and you see, he gives, not only does he speak, he gives the most beautiful. It's incredible. It's incredible how charismatic, how persuasive he is. when you read Sefer Devarim, he really persuades you with his words. How great of an orator he becomes. He gives one of the most famous monologues, one of the most famous speeches in all of history by the end of his life. So you see that Moshe Rabbeinu throughout his life, of course with the help of Hashem, and Hashem told him, I'm going to support you and I'm going to be there for you, but by the end of his life he was able to give this kind of speech. So this is the beauty of Devarim. Now I want to go specifically to one of the more famous pieces of our parasha, which is on page 944, where Moshe gets into reviewing his version of the story of the Meragelim. The Jewish people wanted to send spies, or Hashem asked Moshe to send spies. Many of the commentaries on Devarim, what they love doing is they take the stories as they're presented in the Torah, and then they take the stories as Moshe presents them in Devarim, and they say, is this the same account? Suddenly we have a little bit of a different story. Moshe is giving us a different view. So what exactly happened? What is the Torah trying to tell us the first time? And what is Moshe telling us the second time? So we're going to use that lens a little bit. He does this very in succinct, beautiful manner. So we're in Shilishina, Pasuk Chaf Bet. Vatikrivun elai kulechem. So Moshe says, all of you came to, I'm reminding you the story of the Meragelim, whenever the Jews spied on the land of Israel. Vatikrivun, all of you came to me. This is how it started. Vatomeru, and you said, Nishlecha anashim lefanenu. Let us send men before us. V'yachperu lanu et haaretz, in order to spy out the land, investigate the land. Yashivu otanu davar, and they'll give us an answer. Et haderech asher na'aleba, which roads we should take in. Ve'et ha'arim asher navo aleim, the exact strategy that we should have, which city by city which we should conquer. Is this what happened in the beginning of Shelach? So if you look at the beginning of Shelach, who started? Hashem started. The parasha is Shelach lecha anashim. Moshe, Hashem saying to Moshe, send people. Now the people are starting. And it's not just the people. Rashi notes, kul lechem, everybody. It was like a mob. It was literally like a mob. The entire, everybody came. So you can't send a delegation. You can't send your representatives, the presidents of each shevet, to go ask Moshe to send to our shevatim. Wanna send the entire Jewish people has to come. It was like a mob.
So is that saying that this idea of sending Meraglim was originally the idea of the people, which Hashem approved?
So that's one way of looking at it. The commentaries grapple with it. That could very well be the people, and Hashem said, okay, shlach lecha anashim, send the people. We're noting the differences right now. The fascinating part is looking at the differences. Vayita be'enai hadavar. Moshe said, I thought it was a good idea. Moshe felt it was a good idea. Vayikach mikem shenem asar anashim, ish echad lashavet. And I picked 12 men, one for each shevet. Vayikhu beyadam miperi haaretz vayoridu elenu. They brought fruit from the land of Israel. They brought it down. They brought it to us. By the way, always notice the language, and I love this in Hebrew. Vayoridu elenu. They brought it down to us. In Hebrew,
Living Eretz Israel,
when you leave Eretz Israel, you're going down always. Right? And the same way, when a person moves to Israel, what do they call it today? They call it Aliyah. What does Aliyah mean? It means you're going up. You're going up to Israel. They went to Israel, and they brought the fruits down to us.
meaning you're going up towards
Israel is
something
up.
supported.
Israel is always up. You go up to Israel. You always go up to Israel. You come down from Israel when you come down. Vayashivu otanu davar, and they gave us a response. Vayomeru, Tova haaretz asher Adonai Eloheinu noten lanu. The land which Hashem gave us is a good land. So Is that what they said? The other Americans said, the land is a good land. Moshe is saying, they said it's a good land. So Rashi says over here, who said that it was a good land? Only two, Caleb and Yehoshua. But also, they did say it was a good land. But they gave their commentary on it, meaning they brought the beautiful fruits of the land. But then they told the people, it's impossible, we can't do it. The people are in. If you look in the Parashat Shalach, they said it's a good land, but then they said, it's impossible for us to conquer. They made everybody lose hope. But what does it say after? So who does Moshe put the blame on over here, though? He doesn't put the blame on the 10 spies. When you read Parashat Shalach, there's a clear blame. There's an avon, a sin of the 10 spies.
Meaning Caleb and Yehoshua were they
Caleb
came
and
back
Yehoshua came out, and the other 10 spies, they sinned.
But he's making it sound like
He's making it sound he's sounding like they said it was good. And Vateragenu be'alechem v'tomeru, it's your fault. You guys started saying Lashon Hara in your tents, you guys started getting together, and you said, B'sin'at Adonai hotanu otzianu me'eretz Mitzrayim, Hashem hated us. He took us out of the land of Egypt because Hashem hated us. Natet otanu b'yad ha'emori la'ashmidenu, He took us from the lion, from Mitzrayim, who was divine, and it was okay over there. We were fine, we were living there, but He wants to take us to Israel in order to be killed by the Amorim. So Moshe is placing the blame squarely on the Jewish people. He's placing the blame on them, not on the spies. Ana anachnu olim. Where are we going? How can we go up? Achenu himasu et levavenu. Our brothers melted our hearts. Lemor am gadol v'aram mimenu, by telling us they're a much greater, more powerful nation. Arim gedol utzurot b'shamayim v'gam bnei anakim. They're cities that are as tall as the heavens. They're fortified in the heavens. V'gam bnei anakim ra'inu sham, and we saw huge people over there. What's Moshe's agenda over here, though? Again, he's speaking to the new generation, right? And what does he have to teach them about? He has to teach them about Emunah and Hashem. And he's saying, you guys made the mistake of placing the blame on the spies. You guys should have listened to Yehoshua and Caleb. You had people telling you, Tovah ha'aretz me'od me'od. Right? Hashem already told you, I'm going to take you into the land of Israel. I took you out of Egypt, I will take you into Israel. You should have had Emunah in Hashem. And you had Caleb and Yehoshua who were telling you that this land is a good land. They were there for you. But you chose not to listen to them. You chose to listen to Lashon Hara. That was your choice. That was not the Meragilim's choice. And that's why your ancestors were punished. Moshe is speaking to the new generation. He has to make them understand. When Hashem tells you something, you have to have Emunah in Hashem. And you have to listen, even though you have 2 against 10. You have 2 saying good, you have 10 saying, you have to listen to the positive. You have to listen to those who speak with Hashem, not to those who speak against what Hashem said. So because of that, when it comes to Shalach, gives us the full story, the way it happened. You had the 2 and you had the 10. But here, Moshe, he's giving his final speech to the generation. He has to teach them the mistakes of their fathers, so that they don't make the same mistakes again. And that's why Moshe is telling the story in a different way. And again, I'm giving you one perush. For someone who wants to sit on Shabbat, there are many fantastic commentaries. Rashi, of the Ramban, you have Ibn Ezra, many commentaries on the way they view the differences between Parashat Shalach and Parashat Devarim, and how Moshe retells the story in all of these historical accounts. This is part of the beauty of studying Parashat HaShavua.